what I put forth in front of them, I'm doing the same thing. You got to be able to not necessarily showcase what you can do, but you got to be able to lead, and continuously leading, it gets hard at times. Like I said, but being able to do exactly what they're doing, and they see you doing the same modifications or the same scaling as they're doing, they really feel like they're meeting you in the middle. Being able to say, hey, I'm going to modify some stuff, I'm going to do exactly with you. It's about you're willing to do exactly the same workout I'm doing. So obviously, if you're willing to do it, then you're actually promoting something that is actually going to work for me as well.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Creative Culture. This is your boy Nehemiah, and today we're not in our home. We're actually in a nice facility here. It's a buddy of mine, real good friend of mine. He's been on Creative Culture Season 1 with Aaron and Joey, and today I have him back. Give it up to I want y'all to stand. No, I'm just kidding. I want y'all to give a warm welcome to my boy, Brandon from HIGH5. Let's go.
Man, what's going on? What's going on?
I'm excited to have you, man.
Yeah, man. It's been a minute, but it just feels like it's one of those things like we never skipped a beat. So we're back in action. So
literally, we were just talking for maybe like 30, 40 minutes before we even started setting up, because it's just, somebody's a good, they become friend, they become family, right? The moment that you meet them. And we met each other towards the end of 2020, I want to say, and we've been cool ever since.
Yeah, it's been that long already? Yeah. It's been a long time. Yeah.
Quick, bro. It's quick, man. And yeah, man. So we're just coming down here to visit family and stuff. And I told Ashley, I wanna do some podcasts, right? I wanna record at least 2 when I'm out here, and you were one of the literally you were the first person that I thought of, because obviously I get to watch from afar on social media, due to obviously me not living close by anymore. So when the opportunity arises that I'm coming down here, I hit you up, and you were immediately said, yeah, you've been killing it. I've been noticing that the gym is getting bigger number-wise. I've been like, yo, this dude got a lot more. Like, I see like the photos, the group photos, and I'm like, man, there was like 20, now it's like 50, 60, 70. That's like a lot. So how has that been, man, just seeing your business? Because you won, the last 2 years in a row, right? Fitness Gym of the Year, Alternative Fitness.
We've been honored to be a part of Best of Central Valley last couple of years. When it comes into just growing in general, I think not only has the gym grown, but I've grown as a coach, as a business entrepreneur. I think that's where my mindset has been. So it's kind of hard to, it's like, I hate to put it in fitness terms, but when you start your fitness journey and you start losing a couple pounds and you don't really see it, but everybody else does. Yeah. So January will be 5 years in business. I look back and I'm just like, is that where we're at now? Like, where are we at now? We're at year 5. It's all blur. At the same time, some of the stuff has been a little bit slow motion. Yeah. But growing, man, it's been a blessing. It's been good.
Yeah. I've been seeing it, man. I've been seeing the growth, and it's dope to see. I love to see another friend, another person, like another friend of mine just win. And you were already winning when I left, but to see like the increase even more. I told you, bro, you're going to end up having to get another gym, dog, because there's so much people coming. And it's just dope to see, man, like even just the little add-ons that you've had with the huge HIGH5 behind us. And I love to see it. Like I said, man, I'm a supporter, been a supporter since day one. And to be behind the scenes and see you, actually some of the stuff that you've helped, when I was coming here, that you showed me, I've implemented now in my fitness journey, because I don't get to have Brandon next to me no more, y'all, because I had to move. But just to see like what you're doing, it is dope, man. The content is amazing. You have your cousin with you helping you out, and I love it, man. There's not a gym like yours. There's just not, and that's what I love.
Yeah, man. It's been a real blessing. Speaking of my cousin, he came in. Not a lot of people know he's my cousin, so a huge shout out to him. I always give credit where it's due, man. There's been a lot of people that have helped me build what I'm building. And when I say help me, it may have been from an idea, or, hey, a good job, or, hey, this, I appreciate you. Something as small as just saying, hey, I like what's going on, all the way to, my cousin doing some photos. So he's been doing a lot of our photos lately. It's taking the pressure off of me, which is pretty cool, because I could just come coach. And I keep yelling at him because he takes so many badass photos, but none of them are really of me. So I'm like, man, you got to start taking some good photos of me now. So, yeah, no, we've been working together for a while now. That relationship's been great. He's been doing this photography for, I mean, years now.
Yeah.
He's been a part of the press in Central Valley, working for the Kingsburg Times, Selma Times. No, then he's been really growing his resume, and then working with H5, we've kind of branded together when it comes into our video packages and reels and stuff. So it's, you know, it's been working, man. I think we've gotten really the authentic side of HIGH5 Fit Club. We've been able to get in there, and I've been able to kind of co-direct where we're going with this whole ship, and it's been good, man.
Yeah, it's dope. I love it, man, because you not only see the fitness side of it, which we're gonna get into here shortly, but you see the also marketing side, the promotional side. You see the side of this is how it should look, and it's not only they're gonna just see it by a picture, by a reel, but it's like you're actually seeing through that photo, through that reel. This is actually this is what he brings. Like, this is the culture of your fitness club. And I've experienced it firsthand, coming as just a person who would shoot, and then being a part of it, being part of the workouts, dying, not being able to walk half of the time because this workouts will kill me. But I do some of the workouts now, and I've been able to progress because of that. So for me, seeing like there's a person who actually understands what this is, as someone who actually understands what marketing should look like, what it should be, and that obviously comes from your wrestling background, right? For listeners that are new and don't know, maybe not know you, can you just share just a little bit about your wrestling background? Because this dude's crazy.
So let's go back to being a little kid. Growing up, my inspiration was to be a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
I had this whole thing figured out in my life. I was like, I'm gonna be a pro wrestler, then I'm gonna be a trainer, and I'm gonna use what I did in pro wrestling to kind of piggyback on to be a trainer. And I'm gonna, you know, train these Hollywood stars and do this and do that. And, you know, I'm like 9 years old thinking of all this stuff. Yeah. So I set out to be a pro wrestler. I started pro wrestling in 2007. I started out here in Fresno. I started working for a company. I was trained under Mike Rain. He was my trainer. Taught me a lot. Really good guy. Really cool. At times, just like, you know, teacher student, like you don't understand what they're trying to teach you at the time. But you know, I look back almost 20 years now later. He's really good at what he does, teaching you the right things at the right time that you should be learning versus what you think you should be learning. Yeah. Kind of plays into how I see fitness as well now. But started wrestling, and then I had a WWE tryout in 2014. I've traveled throughout the United States, you know, Texas, Jersey, Hawaii, you just name it, to be able to get out there and go work and do your thing. But pro wrestling has been in my blood since I was a kid. And I kind of see the same aspect as, you know, physical fitness or personal training or group training, you know, the aspect of always wanting to do something. You like in pro wrestling, the way it kind of meshes together is that in pro wrestling, you got to look the part and you got to be able to be athletic and do the part. Yeah. And many of my members that come in here and they come into HIGH5 and how it kind of all cultivated together, you know, they don't just want to look the part. They want to be able to move too. You know, whether it's picking up their children up after school or picking up their new baby or, you know, helping out, you know, their mom that can't walk really well, you know, little aspects like that. But pro wrestling raised me. I've been doing it forever. I took a major hiatus about 5 years ago since I opened up my business. I almost made a comeback last year. And then I was in a little car accident. So I took some time off of that. So, I mean, with Mike, talking with him, doors always open. I think, you know, the opportunity is always there. People keep asking me, when are you gonna get back in the ring? You know,
I'm ready for it.
It's sooner than later, but right now, having to, you know, keep what's going on with the fitness side, it's kind of consumed my life in a positive way. So we wouldn't be at year 5 if I took my foot off the gas. So
HIGH5, year 5, let's go.
Yeah.
It's so dope to see just how one thing led into the other. Wrestling was, like you said, since childhood, for me, I love wrestling since I was a little kid. Anytime they're in town, I try to go see them because I just love it. There's this type of energy that's just in the crowd, and these dudes are athletic. Like, dude, what Logan Paul's doing, a content creator going into this space, and I'm like, Bro, this dude's actually an athlete. Like, he's actually backflipping, flipping off of stuff, throwing himself up 20, 30 feet up in there. And I'm like, yo, that's an athlete, you know?
You know, I think to comment on Paul, it's like, you know, I think 15, 20 years ago, you tell that Brandon about that content creator getting into the business, I'd be a little upset. I'd be a little bit mad. But overall, looking at not just when it comes into fitness or pro wrestling, you know, a lot of stuff has changed.
Yeah.
He's been able to come in and really do something with it, whether he's a short-time or the part-time guy, or if he has just a short-term contract, whatever they got going on with him. He's been able to get his brand out there. Yeah, and that's
incredible.
That shows a lot about, you know, who this guy is. I remember, you know, I don't know how long it's been now, probably, man, maybe 7-8 years, with his brother, which is Jake Paul.
Yeah.
I remember taking my nephew to LA. Took my nephew to LA.
No way.
Yeah, we took him to go see Jake, and I just remember, like, it's like, Uncle, you know, am I going to be able to see him? And it was just like this gigantic line of people that were out there. And it's crazy because of how much people they draw. And that's where it comes into how the other Paul's doing his business now. Like, they just draw people regardless of what they're doing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, the more eyes on you, I think it's good and bad. But at the same time, you know, in the public's eye is good. And even telling him, he almost didn't make it. We got to the end and they were shutting down the doors. And I just told him, I said, just run in there. I was like, if you run in there, they're going to have to tell you that, you know, you can't be by yourself. So he ran in there. I think he was like 7 or 8 years old. It was years ago. But I took him in there and, no, it just, he was all excited because he got to tell his dad. He was like, oh, you know, he was like, you know, and I was like, you know, his dad's like, why'd you just let him run in there? I was like, well, what are we going to do? Like, I was like, he has to get in there and they're going to have to tell him you need a parent. So then one of us has to go get him. So it comes down to, he got in there and it was fun and he got to see him. He didn't get up there and get an autograph or anything, but he got some merch though. So it was good.
Yeah. It's cool to see, man. I believe, man, even like I see a lot of like TikTok, Instagram, fitness has become such a huge thing, has become such a massive mainstream thing. You have gyms that are solely just, there's a gym in LA. I think I showed Ashley. There's a gym in LA where it's literally strictly just for content creators that come and create content. I mean, they have the cool lights. They have the perfect lighting. I'm like, dude, you know, like these dudes, because it's become so big. Why do you think, as not only a fitness person yourself who stays fit, but a person who's in the fitness game, who has his own gym, why do you think it's gotten so big? I believe in the last like 2 years, it's like 2-3 years. I think since pandemic, it got really massive.
You know, fitness overall, I think fitness is important.
Yeah.
And there's certain things in life that I feel you can't get away from. You can't get away from food. You can't get away from trying to live. And to be healthy and to live, you need fitness in your life. Mm-hmm. So it's not that what became big since pandemic, not necessarily just because of fitness, but because it's a part of our lives. People want to know what to do on a daily life, you know, a daily lifestyle, daily routines, and fitness is a part of a majority of people's lives because that's what makes us healthier. So overall, when that boom hit, people are able to make a lot of content because it's pretty natural. But for a long time, I think fitness was seen as like only the elite can do it, or
like a
only
sacred thing.
Yeah, you know, it's like, you know, they had the bodybuilder phase or the 80s step aerobics. You had to be into a certain niche in order to kind of feel that you were gonna, you know, be a part of it. Where fitness can be a part of everyone's lifestyle. People started to understand that, well, it's adaptable at whatever age you are and whoever you are. So
yeah, that's good. I like that, man. I mean, fitness has become something, obviously, because of my challenges in my body. I've been able to now start to do things to get myself healthier. You had a big part in it because of the way that you would simplify things. One thing that your gym does really well, one thing that you do really well is you simplify everything to where the average Joe that knows nothing, that's never lifted a weight, that's never ran, that's never even thought about doing squats, because they do it on a normal basis, but they don't really think about it. But you have really simplified it to where, like you said, a daily mom can just pick up their child. That's a part of a workout. And I personally love that because it just shows people that you don't need to go into a quote unquote regular gym, like this 24-hour fitness per se, right? Such a big name. Like, you don't necessarily have to go to that. You can, but you don't necessarily have to go to that and feel, because sometimes those gyms can intimidate you. Sometimes those are very intimidating because you see these dudes that are massively yoked. Even some girls that I'm like, dang, this girl probably beat me up because she's so strong, right? And then you come in here where you have people that are physically fit like that, but then you have some people that are like, well, I'm just a mom like you, or I'm just a dad like you that has a regular 9-to-5 job, and I just want to get a little healthier, get a little stronger, maybe look a little better, want to dress a little nicer. And you come in here and say, okay, well, that's how we're going to help you. And to me, that, yeah, I would choose that over a bigger gym, in my opinion.
Fitness overall, I think, how would I put it? From a coach's point of view, we have what we call the whiteboard phase. Whiteboard phase is kind of where we get kind of stuck, or like writer's block, where, I'm sitting there creating a workout, or I'm trying to create, this itinerary for the week of what we got going on. And sometimes like the workout's not good enough. And then we get stuck in this phase where we put it on the whiteboard and it never really gets seen because we think it needs to be perfected. And the method that we've kind of moved into with how that correlates to what we now call the HIGH5 method is that we meet you where you're at. So maybe the workout isn't exactly where it needs to be, but it's got to be published. It's got to be put out there, and there's some trial and error going to happen. And maybe the workout works, or maybe it kind of sucks. Mm-hmm. You got to be able to finally tune some stuff and you got to put it out there to tune it to figure out if it works. And that's where that whiteboard phase is in a lot of people's heads now, that you just got to start. So being able to help that everyday person, nobody works out just to work out. They work out for something bigger. They're working out for the content, or they're working out for the everyday life. And that's where our HIGH5 method is. We meet you in the middle. So there's where you're at, there's where you want to be at, and how can we get them to, work together? You can't, and you got to be honest. And that's where, being truthful, being honest with somebody and tell them exactly where they're at, they either want to hear it or they don't want to hear it. And that's where it really comes into being a mean coach or a nice coach. Are you ready to hear it?
Yeah.
I could tell you if you told me straight up, hey man, this is where I want to be. And you're like, I want to do, 10 bar muscle ups. Yeah. And that's where, you pick your body up over the bar. And I was like, well, all right, well, how many pull-ups can you do? And then you're like, well, I can't do any.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you, hey, we got to get the methods down to do the pull-ups before we get to the bar muscle ups. And if you weren't ready to hear that and you're like, well, he's not a good coach because he's not telling me how to do a bar muscle up.
But he is.
But yeah, you got to take the steps to get there. Just like, you're big on boxing, right?
I love boxing.
Am I able to get in a ring now and say, hey, Mike, I want to fight Tyson?
You might get knocked
out. No, you got to get knocked out. But that fight doesn't happen by me just showing up. I'd have to have a bunch of preliminary fights in order to get my pro card to be able to even be noticed to be on Mike Tyson's level. Mike Tyson's on a completely another level, so don't even tell him I said that.
But that boy, 50-some years old, still swinging like he 20-something. I'm like, this. Well, you saw what he did with it. What's his name? Francis?
Yeah.
3 months and knocked down Tyson Fury, which I still believe Tyson Fury lost that fight.
Yeah.
I'm like, look what 3 months of one guy can do, right?
Exactly.
So talking about that, how do you stay consistent? Like you just said earlier, you got into an accident. It was an unfortunate accident. Unfortunately, you couldn't get into wrestling just because of I'm pretty sure some body issues because of the crash. I remember you telling me about it. How do you remain consistent even when things might seem, life just, like I said earlier, life just be lifing?
Life tough. Be lifing. So, after I was in a car accident and thankfully, I was safe. I think, I don't know if there was glass in my eye or something, but I still feel like I can't see right, or maybe I'm just getting old. But no, after that, it was more of the writer's block, the whiteboard phase where I've been, kind of scared to drive. I've been, worried about getting from point A to point B. So I've been kind of taking a step back if I need to go somewhere and go somewhere, especially after that, just having that kind of a continuous nightmare in my head of, being in another car accident. The last thing I want to do is end up in there. So being consistent has been around that time. It's been over a year now. has been a challenge, but it's gotten easier over time. But knowing that I have obligations really fuels me. The obligation I have to every single one of my members or every one of my potential members, it's obligation I have to myself. I've never really stopped taking my foot off the gas in any aspect. But there's, I wake up knowing that, I got to grow the business. I wake up knowing that these people are asking for results. I got to wake up knowing, this is my life and this is what I chose. And I enjoy it every single day when I wake up. There's never a point in my time where I'm like, well, because I was in, this is actually the second accident I've been in. And in a 6.5 year time span. And just like the first one, I was in the accident. And then the following day, I was back at work. Like I said, I took an Uber here. And then I got to work because there's an obligation of what I've set out for these people. And I owe it to myself to give them what they're asking for. And there's really not anything that is going to stop me from doing so. So, when you have, it's like, I can imagine how you feel with, your little girl. She looks up at dad all the time saying, there's no question you need to go do what you need to do, regardless of lifing. Yeah, you got to handle it, right?
100%.
So same thing I have for every single one of my members. They fuel me. And not only that, but my self-passion of having to feel fulfilled is rewarding when they're getting the results or getting what they're asking for.
I like you just said your self-passion. How do you stay how do you remain in your passion even when all that happens? Like you said, it has to be, right? The people that they depend on me, right? But what keeps Brandon?
Man, it's a lot of craziness going on in my head. A lot of different ideas, a lot of randomness, a lot of ups and downs. I think at times, it's like imposter syndrome. You start thinking about, am I good enough? Am I not good enough? Is it working? Is it not working? But you got to go through that, and you got to understand, what you bring to the table, and staying humble and thankful, but hungry at the same time is like, it's a great balance. Like there's, I do a lot of stuff for myself in this industry, and I'm always thankful for everything. And I'm always willing to ask people questions. I don't care who you are. Like, I don't know everything, but I'm going to figure out a way to know everything. They talk about that. I might butcher it, but the smartest guy in the room isn't the one that knows it all. It's the one who's asking most questions.
Yeah.
If you can ask the most questions, you're going to get to where you're going. And to stay grounded as Brandon, I don't think Brandon stays grounded. He's all over the place. But being able to find a way to harness what I'm good at has been what I've been good at. So, I get this idea and I start running with it. And then my idea, it just spurts into something else, into something else. And then boom, all of a sudden, 5 years later, we're still here.
Yeah.
So, I don't think it's a way to just say, how does Brandon say Brandon? But just staying crazy, I guess you could say. And the ideas of, even speaking about being crazy, ever since I was a kid, I used to look at it like there was something wrong with me, because I remember my teachers were like, oh, you didn't, they thought I was, that my parents were doing my work. They're like, oh, plagiarism, or because my writing was too far-fetched, or it was too much stuff going on. And then my drawings, they were like, oh, this isn't working right. Somebody's doing this for you. And then even having conversations with my mom at parent-teacher conference.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I look backwards and I'm like, everything that brought me to the game, I got to keep leaning into. And that's going to keep being me. Just like a huge shout out to Monarch Screen Printing. Monarch Screen Printing has been doing my apparel for probably the last 7 years now.
They kill it, bro, because look at that shirt.
Big shout out to Ryan. He could tell you straight up like how crazy I am at times, where I have this final design in a t-shirt and I'm like, oh, this is what we're doing. This is how it is. And he's like, all right. And I text him, I email him, we get the quantity count, we get everything going. We get it into production. And then right before I text him, like, did you print it yet? He goes, no. I was like, I changed the design, front and back, everything, head to toe. And he's like, ha ha. And I'm like,
no, I'm serious.
He's like, all right, what do you have now? Send it over. But I think some of the best ideas have come from just, being under pressure. I think that's where you can go with too. Being under pressure is just what fuels me and gets me going to that next level.
People need that. I feel like for me, I have to, like for me to stay doing creative culture, right? Obviously, I've shared before, you know, with Aaron and Joey, you know, just life happens and we have had to go. Aaron doesn't live close no more, so he can't do the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't live close no more, so Joey can't do the podcast. And yeah, I get it. Zoom is there, Riverdale, or whatever the heck the other one is called, and I get that. But it's nothing like in-person interaction. So it was like, for me, it was the pressure of knowing that I'm called to do something, I'm purposed to do something, and if I don't do it, the next person will, but then I won't be fulfilled because I'm not doing what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do I keep creative culture going? Well, like I said, God gave my dad a pulpit, he gave me a camera. So that means what I do with this camera or these cameras, it matters because I know that's a part of my calling. It's a part of my passion. It's a part of like my purpose in life. And I feel at most joy and peace when I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But it's the moment that I get out of it where then I tell Ashley, well, I feel like I'm in a rut, or I don't feel this. I don't feel good. I feel like just down. I'm in a writer's block. I'm in a creator's block. And it's like, no, you're not. You just haven't picked up your camera. It's like for you, no, you're not. You just haven't wrote what you got to go start doing. No, it's not, because you just haven't done that next design that's been stuck in your head, but you haven't done it yet, you know? And to me, it's like, and all this now, and I feel like the moment that I did stop going to the gym because I got sick for like the 3 weeks and then going to Pennsylvania, when I stopped going to the gym, that's when I felt this block come in. What do you believe fitness does for the mental aspect of people?
Oh man, fitness, it does a lot, man. The biggest thing I can say is that, you know, fitness being a part of your daily lifestyle for mental health is great. You feel stimulated, you feel better when you get a workout in. So I tell everybody, you know, at the end of the day, you should feel like, man, I could have picked up that extra weight. I could have went a little bit harder, rather than leaving saying, oh man, I don't feel good. You know, no one's ever left saying, I don't feel good. You just left saying I could have did more. But physical fitness and mental health, there's a huge correlation. We've actually done some good business with Better Together. The owner of Better Together, she comes to my gym. She's done phenomenal work here, being able to talk to some of the members and be able to help get them into different programs for her, you know, therapy that she does, and help them. And it's not necessarily just figuring out if you're crazy or not. It's just sometimes you need someone to point in the right direction, saying, hey, this is where you should probably go.
But I feel like everyone has a little crazy in them.
You have to.
You have to, bro.
You have to.
You know?
I think, no, she did. She's done wonders with us, and we've partnered together because even her practices and everything she's gone to school for and done in her practice to be able to develop the right program for her clientele, there's a big correlation with health and fitness. And she really promotes that very well to be able to tell them, hey, you need to do this. And she's, you know, took a little while because she's an entrepreneur as well. And I'm being nice to her about this on the podcast. But over time, she's gotten better at being consistent. And I think for her mental health as well, because she's in a similar type position I am as being an entrepreneur, and her ability to show up each and every time has been great because she's a living proof and example of her telling her clients what to do, and she's doing it already. So hands down, you know, big shout out to her as well.
Yeah, I think the greatest leader is the leader that's willing to roll their sleeves up and get dirty with the worker. If you're not willing to do that, well then, for me personally, I can't be led by you. My pastor is an incredible pastor. Why do yes, he has a big church. Yes, he's been doing this for years, for a very long time, since before I was born. But what made him, what makes him a phenomenal leader is not only when he sees somebody clean, he'll help them clean. Not only when he sees somebody move in a chair, he'll pick up the chair and say, where do you want me to place it? No, Pastor, I got it. No, I got it. Let's do it together. And to me, it's like, he doesn't just say it, but he does it. And to me, that's the greatest leader. You are a phenomenal leader. Why did so many people come to HIGH5 Fit Club? Because you are an example not only by writing it either on the whiteboard, but it may be giving a quick example, but you'll get dirty with them too. You'll go mess around and do the WOD, and they're like, this hurts. You know, they'll see you out of breath, and it's like, well, if my coach is doing it, that means I can do it too. Like, he's not only coaching me, he might not only be motivating me, but he's actually getting down. Bro, I've seen you. I'm like, my boy's working.
I think that's the biggest part of anything. Like when you look at the aspect of, not just getting down and dirty, but you got what I put forth in front of them, I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I can't put you in a program that doesn't make sense if I'm not willing to do it myself. So I do the exact same thing they do. We just modify our scale as needed. When it comes down to the meat and potatoes, you got to be able to not necessarily showcase what you can do, but you got to be able to lead, and continuously leading. It gets hard at times, like I said, but being able to do exactly what they're doing, and they see you doing the same modifications or the same scaling as they're doing, they really feel like they're meeting you in the middle. And when I've chosen to scale a lot of workouts lately, being able to say, hey, I'm going to modify some stuff. I'm going to do exactly with you. And they're like, oh man, it's not just, you just don't lift heavier or lighter than me. It's about you're willing to do exactly the same workout I'm doing. So obviously if you're willing to do it, then you're actually promoting something that is actually going to work for me as well.
Yep. 100%, man. I think I want to end the podcast on this, because I did get to read an article that they featured you on, and you were talking about not looking at the next man, not worrying about what the next man does. I just want you to speak on that, because too much people that either have podcasts, gyms, because that's what we do, right? Or somebody who has maybe a clothing line, a shoe brand, whatever it is, not worrying about the next man. I just want you to share that, because I thought that was, out of everything you said, bro, I was like, this is it.
So recently I was featured in the Fresno Business Journal. They did an article about me, about how I went from the wrestling ring to the business world. And I think the wrestling ring was the business world as well. And the question that was asked, he was pretty adamant about asking some really good questions. And that question he asked was like, Brandon, how do you feel about your competition? And right now I'm going to drop some free knowledge. So if people can listen up.
Yeah, better listen.
If you've ever been to a horse race, and the horse races, they have some blinders on their eyes. They have blinders on their eyes, and they're going around the track.
Yes.
And when you have that thoroughbred that's winning first place trophies, and he's staying in line, they're not looking at the next man over. They're only worried about what they're doing inside that race.
They'll get out of their lane.
They'll get out of their lane.
Yeah.
And when he asked me, how do you worry about your competition? There are a million gyms out there. There are a million people doing pro wrestling. There are a million people doing everything we're doing. There's a bunch of people doing podcasts right now. But the only way to do what you feel that you're doing and to keep leaning in on it is to worry about what you got going on for yourself. Yeah. So when it comes into the clientele I have, if I'm worried about what somebody else is doing, I can't worry about the clientele that I have. If I'm worried about what somebody else is doing pro wrestling, I can't get to the next level of where I'm trying to get at. If we're worried about the next podcast over, how do we get to that next level of podcasting? You just got to keep doing what you're doing. You got to stay in your lane. And, that's what I told him. And, he quoted me on that. And if you stay in your lane, it doesn't mean that you're not humble. It doesn't mean that you don't want other people to succeed, because everybody in that horse race is all running.
They're very successful.
But no horse is looking at each other, worried about what the other horse is doing. You're just staying in your lane, doing what you need to do. And, at the end of the day, sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
That's good. I think that's it. That's it right there. That's true. Stay in your lane. I love that horse analogy, man, because I love how they have blinders. Because the moment that horse's blinders are open, they get to see what's next to them. And then next thing you know, they fall in. And now there's 5 horses. Out of it's like 6 or 7 horses in that race. Well, if the one in the middle, blinders go open, there's 3 there and there's 3 here, that means those 3 might fall with them. Yeah. And I think that's great. I've gotten to that place where not that I don't care about other podcasts, because I'm a very I love podcasts. Podcasts is my thing. I listen to them, I watch them, but I can't worry about how their production looks, how their sound is, how their audio is, how their questions, the way that they interview people. If I worry about that, well, then I'm gonna fail, because then I'm more worried about you than worried about me, and then I end up trying to become you, and it's like, but I'm not you.
No, you got to be the best version of you.
Yeah, so it's like, how do I mold myself into the best podcaster that I can possibly be, well, it's by me working on me. It's not about, well, let me see what this podcast is doing. Let me see what that podcast is doing. Now you can draw inspiration, but I'm not going to try to be you, and I can never be you.
No, you got to keep doing you. And that's where it comes down to just, being your most authentic self that you can be. It comes down to understanding and being comfortable with who you are. And that's where I said, like, the imposter syndrome, sometimes we never get past that writer's block or the creative block or that whiteboard phase. And you just got to put it out there, because there's people that are in positions like me and you that have less and are doing less, but they're willing to put their content out there. They're getting the views, they're getting the people, they're getting to that next level of authenticity because they're just willing to do it.
That's it.
So
willing to do it, man. That's great. 2024. What's to come with HIGH5, man?
Man, we got a lot of stuff on deck. I always have a ton of stuff. Even setting up for this podcast, you were on the phone. You're like, man, he's got it going on. Nah, man, we got a nice and slow, steady start to 2024. There's been some internal talk of, next year is a big year for me. It's my another year in business. It's the 5th year. Like you said, it's HIGH5, 5 years. A lot of correlation with that going on. Yeah. I got like 2 or 3 t-shirt designs ready.
Let's go.
Just haven't really put anything out there. But yeah, man, all I can say is that I'm excited for the future. HIGH5 Fit Club, we've really developed this HIGH5 method. We have it on paper. We have it so that way our new members can fill out and some of our old members can fill it out. So that way we can get down with exactly what they're looking for and how we're going to help them. And there's a roadmap for it. And being able to, I've been able to develop the people that I have underneath me, as well as the members that we have now. We've grown. I'm excited for that growth. And I think I sent somebody the article, and to piggyback off that, sent somebody the article that they wrote about me in the Business Journal, just like I did you. And they made me mad. And they made me mad in a good way, because like you're asking me what's going on. And the best thing they said was, out of all the things I could tell you, what's next? And because they already know me, I'm like, man, I'm like, all right, what's next? Like, you did that, what's next? And a couple other people that I've talked, they're like,
that's funny.
We've expected nothing less. So 2024 people, they're expecting a lot, but the internal talk is like, we can't wait till 2025, 2026, 2027.
Time is now.
I know I'm sounding like LeBron James when he was like, not 1, not 2, not 3, but we're going to keep going, man. That's what we're going to do.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited to be able to just take, like I said, I told a few people, I just want to take the back seat and be able to see what you're doing, man, and always support and always cheer you on, man. I'll be wearing your shirts to the gym and they'll be like, what's that? I'm like, yeah, let me tell you a little bit something. I'll tell you what this is, because everyone wears the same thing, you know, the same brands. And I'm like, if I'm going to wear a brand, it's a brand that I support. It's a brand that I love. And it's a brand that I know that I believe in and they believe in me. So, man, thank you for coming on.
No, likewise, man.
I think he's been the most guest appeared. Yeah. This is your 3rd time, so you got that trophy.
That's it right now.
I already hear a few people like, no, I'm gonna beat that,
Yeah.
But man, like I said, you always got a chair here at Creative Culture, and thank you, man, for opening up your beautiful gym and coming on and sharing, some more of your story. And man, where can they follow you at? So
you can go on my personal page on HIGH5 Limited on Instagram. We do a lot of Instagram stuff. HIGH5fitclub.com. We've really updated our website. We have a ton of blogs on there. So I think that's the coolest part. You can share, send out the blogs. We have a lot of free information on there. We started posting a ton of workouts on there. At the end of the day, come check us out, see what we do. Just follow us, wear our merch. Have fun with us, man.
Always. There it is, man. Thank y'all for tuning into Creative Culture. We believe creatives like you and I can change the culture we live in today. So go out there and be the change. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.